Oh, okay, we're good?
Are we good? Okay.
Ready?
You have to do that intro again, or
We
can
do.
keep intro again? Yeah. Okay.
Hey, everybody, I'm Mike. This is Tony and Charlie and Carl from Canedy. Welcome to COVID Fest 2020 for all you folks who aren't quite in the green.
Okay, right now we're going to do the title track of our new album. This one is called Warrior.
I was a warrior, I fought the heavy metal wars until the grunge king came and shut my heavy metal doors. I made my sacrifice to Chrysalis and Mercury, but all the gods and muses turned their backs on me. Dedicated warriors, we fought the valiant fight, a gifted band of men at arms, we plied our craft each night. We
It's a song about never giving up.
I remember the times in my life when the rain would come down colder than ice, casting a chill on the embers that once were afire. Now it took me a while to learn, if you wanna have fire, you need something to burn. I was starving for fuel and the tools to fulfill my desires. I remember my days as a child. It was magical then, it was life undefiled, and I wish I could live in that fantasy all of the while. But reality won't let you go. Gets a grip on the young, drains you dry as you grow, till you're only a slave with a name and a digital file. Well, I guess I had known right from the start. There was something inside me that set me apart. There's a reason I never found comfort as part of the crowd. For a difficult time I lived every day, loathing myself till I learned how to play, and my life found a meaning the day that I turned it up loud. It's not like it came without warning. There's no mistaking the change. When life goes from typically boring to suddenly never the same. Rain on the lights, rain on the thunder. Let's tear down the walls I have made. Build on the sound, the spell I am under has me feeling a new life that hammers its way through my veins. It's not like it comes without trying. You've got to work every day. But now that you know why you're trying, don't let them stand in your way. You are the lights, you are the thunder. Let's tear down the walls they have made. Leave them in awe, leave them to wonder. Shatter the spoils of passion that never will fade. You will know when you find it. It will open your eyes. Follow the signs and don't give up on the prize. Don't give up on the prize. Don't give up on the prize. Never give up on it. Don't give up. Don't you give up on it. Don't give up. Never give up on the prize.
Charmed, I'm sure.
The first time it happened, oh man, I was young. The second time round, I had hoped it was love. But just like the sound that goes forth in the night,
Okay, it's Carl Canedy. I hope you guys enjoyed that virtual concert. It was a little odd doing it because we just had camera people and the engineer and no one else, so it was weird, but it was fun to at least be playing again. So let me start with some questions that I have been asked to answer. First, very few in this biz can match your resume from being a creator to working with the creators. Where do you find the ultimate fulfillment? I'm a drummer. I play guitar. I play horrible piano. I've written some of the worst songs known to man, piano. But drums. I love playing drums, and I love when the band is kicking ass, and I'm part of that process of making those songs have energy. That's great for me. On the other side of the coin, I love writing songs. The fact that Ronnie James Dio sang a song that I wrote, that's a career highlight for me. And then the other is producing an album, helping a band realize their goal and their vision. And I love doing that. And so I guess it's multifaceted, and I don't know if that answered the question, but there you go. What fuels the creative juices these days? And I think what fuels the creative juices for me is that when I was 4.5, I saw a set of drums at a wedding reception. It was a red kit, and it was up on an American Legion stage, very small, narrow, very low stage. And I remember it being a red kit of some kind, but it was Alleluia singers. The white light shone down on that drum kit. And from that moment on, that was all I wanted to do, period. And now that I'm way advanced in the years, that's still all I want to do. I just want to play my drums. I think about it all the time. I do it as often as I can, or else I'm on my practice pad. So, that's it. And I love writing songs. And with Canedy, the songs you just heard, we got together at a recording studio where we recorded this video, and we wrote songs, and we became a band in that process of almost 2 years of doing it. And it's great to write a song, and it's great to have a synergy with your other musicians. And fortunately, working with Tony, the bass player, who brings in such great melodic ideas that are open, and everybody builds on those most of the time. And Mike, who's an incredible vocalist, can take a song anywhere. And then Charlie, who not only is he a shredder, but he's an orchestrator. So working with those guys, it's great, and writing songs with them is great. And, all of that fuels the creative juices. Writing, recording an album, playing my drums live, which, please God, let that happen again soon. So Warrior pulls no punches. And by the way, if you don't have Warrior, it's out everywhere, Spotify, Deezer, iTunes, Apple, and just a shameless plug. And I suggest you listen to it. Just one song. Go to YouTube. Look for Canedy Warrior. Not Even Love. There's a bunch of songs that you'll see videos for. Just check out one song and see what you think. But Warrior pulls no punches. Just straight ahead traditional heavy metal firing on all pistons. Thank you very much for that. You're fitting in nicely with the likes of Sabaton, Blind Guardian, and even Amon Arma. Do you like sitting in the same league with today's heavy hitters? I want to be funny here and say, of course, but the reality is, yes, of course. For me, at this point in my career, to still be relevant in any way, to be given accolades of any kind, it's an honor. I'm humbled by it. I'm thrilled. And so, of course, anyone who likens us, Canedy, with our hard work, writing these songs and recording, the fact that anybody is saying anything great about us is thrilling to all of us. We're very, very happy, and we're very grateful and appreciative. Jimmy Page has always stated that every Led Zeppelin album started with one foundation, the drums. Please comment, and does this apply to your musical world? I will say that I've always thought this, not about myself with regard to me being in the band, but music I've listened to. Miles Davis, I believe, said, and I'm going to credit to him, and I may be mistaken, but Miles Davis, I believe, said that if the drummer ain't happening, the band ain't happening. And, I view that as how I feel about bands when I see a group. If the drummer is really kicking ass behind that band, the band is just taking off. If the drummer's weak, the tempo's weird, there's little spasms or just lackadaisical, then, to me, the band isn't as powerful as they could be. So, I think that's true. With us, we didn't start with the drums. Like, I didn't really bring in any real drum grooves per se. Tony usually brings in some things, although both Charlie and Mike bring in songs, but it usually works with there's some rhythm pattern, some riff or something, and then we build on it from there. So in this situation, no. With the rods, there's some times when, I do bring in something, but then also David brings in something because David started as a drummer for Ronnie James Dio, for those of you who don't know. So anyway, but with Canedy, no, we don't usually write that way, although I may have a couple things I'll bring in for this next album. The double bass drums are prevalent on Warrior. Is that a nod to your speed metal producing roots? I think that from starting producing Anthrax, it was something that I was aware of, the changing of the guard, and Charlie Benante kicked it up unbelievably well. So I think, of course, that's had influence on me. It's pushed me to play faster, to change my style, to adapt, and to learn new things and be open to new approaches in drumming. So I would say absolutely. It certainly isn't a conscious effort, but without a doubt, it's now part of my DNA. And this next question, your production credits are so impressive and help kickstart a new phenomenon. How did you see it evolving? I saw it evolving from day one with Anthrax. I knew it was changing of the guard. I love the band. I love their attitude. And I love the fact that these guys they reminded me of me when I was younger, and that was just single-minded. I want to be on a major label, period, and that's my goal, and I'm going to do everything I can to get there. And so I saw these guys as they weren't going away, and they were taking no prisoners. And so for that, I was really thrilled for them and did my best to help them realize their vision in the recordings, the albums I produced with them. But my friends didn't see it. Some of my older friends, they thought they were terrible. They thought Anthrax, this sucks. This is, one of them called it insect music. And they didn't see the changing of the guard the way I did. And as a result, one of them bet me about, where do you see this band going? And I said, this band sucks. It's never going to be anything. And so we bet that I thought the band would be a gold or platinum album at some point. And he just never thought that. So he lost the bet. And I was really happy for Anthrax to move on. And I did see it evolving, and I did notice it with the next band I produced, Overkill, and I knew that things had changed. So I hope that answers the question. Sorry, getting a little dry here from chatting away. What was your feeling about music getting much heavier and faster? Could you relate to the entire speed metal movement? Absolutely could, as I mentioned before, absolutely could. Now today, there's a lot of stuff I love. There's a lot of music I listen to that's new. A lot of times, I'm driving and I have to look and see what's on Sirius and who the act is, and a lot of times I don't look them up. There's a certain level of certain types of metal. It's evolved to so many genres now, but and subgenres, But I just I still love the music. I don't know what it is. I don't always love some of the songs when they just have no melodic content for me. It's just a lot of chromatic riffs played with half steps played very fast with a lot of screaming over it. I don't love that, but most of it I do love. So I guess that answers that question. With Brave Words being Canadian born and bred, what did you think of the other legendary trio where the drummer sang? What band could we be talking about? There's a band that I worked with, and I love those guys to this day. Their name was Exciter. I think there's an album on the wall behind me somewhere. I don't know if you can see it or not. But anyway, from the day I met those guys, they were all great. John, Dan, Alan, fantastic. I still consider them very good friends to this day. And we see each other sometimes. We share a bill when we're on the road. And those guys were amazing. And talk about powerful. And Dan Beeler's vocals are just crazy strong. I mean, he sang balls out every time. And just phenomenal. And I love those guys, Canadian or not, eh? We used to have a lot of fun with people locally who would talk about Canada and like, do you have Burger King? I think somebody asked Dan Beeler, do you guys have Burger King in Canada? And Dan said, no, we have Fish King in Canada. And we all fell on the floor laughing, and the person didn't really understand what we were laughing about, but we thought it was quite humorous. What albums did you pass on recording? Okay, this is one that, I want to tread lightly on, but there have been a couple, but I think the biggest one, and I had a manager at that time, and I was offered The Great Cat, and she's a phenomenal musician, classically trained, but Worship Me or Die, I think, was one of her albums, her sayings, her mantra. And so in talking with her about pre-production and possibly producing her album, I recognized that I couldn't help her realize her vision, and this wasn't going to be a good experience for either one of us. And I just remember when I passed on it and finally said, Kat, I don't think it's going to work for us. She was really upset. She was angry, and she told me I wasn't much of a man and that I was afraid to record her, and all this just went off on me. And I don't know. So I don't know. And to this day, I guess maybe I wasn't man enough to produce that Great Cat album, but she's an amazing musician, and she continues to record and make albums, and also continues to have people worship her or die. So what albums did you wish you recorded in that 80s era? That's such a wide open question, and there's so many great albums, there's so many great albums from Metallica to Whitesnake. I mean, there are just so many great albums in the 80s. So I would just say that any that were multi-platinum would probably be the best answer I could give for that. I think that would have been fine. I think that would have been really nice for the bank account, for the wall back here, and just for my ego in general, I guess. But that didn't happen, so we'll move on to the next question. What is that status of the rods, or what is the status of the rods? The world of heavy metal was drastically changing when you released your first 4 albums in the early 80s. Describe the scene in your eyes back then. I'm going to take another drink, so hold on. The scene when we first started was not friendly. The Bee Gees were mostly on the airwaves, where we were. And I always remember we played anywhere and everywhere for nothing, for free, for $100, with like 4 guys in the road crew and 3 of us in the band. We lived on $5 a day per diem, and our first bass player, Steve Starmer, smoked. So out of the $5 a day, he had to buy cigarettes. So it was slim. It was tough. Shocking that I didn't lose weight back then, but somehow I managed, even on $5 a day, keep the weight up. But we played everywhere, and we were driving people out of the club. And we played a club in Ithaca, New York called the Arcade. And it was an old theater where they had pulled the seats out, so it was layered, and they had pillows, and you could sit and watch the band. And so there were maybe 75 people when we started, I guess. I can't remember. It was really a spattering of people. And by the end of the first set, everybody had run out of the club, and we were playing to maybe a couple of girlfriends and the 4 guys in the road crew. And so that was the scene back then. We were not welcome, but as time went on, we started building a following, playing originals, and suddenly we were packing the clubs. But it took a good year and a half of struggling to do that. And I mean, we played everywhere, and then in between playing, we recorded. So, but back then there were clubs where you could play. Today you don't have that, the same kind of thing. There was no pay to play. You got paid if you played, and if you drew, you would get paid more. So that was a whole different time. As things went on, things became a little more difficult. And of course, when we started, metal was not big, and it was not mainstream, I should say. And bands like Metallica, Anthrax, Overkill, they started breaking mainstream that way, thanks to Johnny and Marsha. Really, Johnny and Marsha were huge in helping to break metal. So it was a different and difficult time, and of course. It was the changing of the guard, and we were who we were, and so it was interesting to see the thing change. And I'll move on to the next question. How would you describe your relationship with David Feinstein? Well, this is our 40th year together, so I think it's pretty good. We've never had a dust-up. We've never had a screaming, yelling match. Not that we haven't had disagreements, and we haven't had, I've been pissed at him for something, he's been pissed at me, but it's never come to blows. It's never come to nasty words. Neither of us have said things that we've regretted. I have great respect for David. David's the reason that Ronnie Dio sang a song that I wrote. He felt it was the right song. He could have had Ronnie sing another one of his songs, but he chose my song. And, I'm always grateful. He's always been a very big supporter of my songwriting, which I've always really appreciated. But I would say from day one, David and I, we just, whether it's the same DNA musically or what, but we seem to fit together when we both fire it up. There's a certain sound that comes out, and from the way we play with each other, and it's just that's the Rod sound. And so I would say overall, good relationship, and grateful that 40 years on, he and I are still making some of the best Rod's music. Did you follow his Elf roots, and did you cross paths with Ronnie Dio often? Yes, I did. Before I knew David, I would go see Elf at high school dances. And at that time, high school dances, you danced. You didn't sit, you didn't watch. It wasn't a concert. You danced. Everyone got together, and, it was Dick Clark era where let's rate a record. Hey, Dick, I give that an 85. It's danceable, and I could hum to it. And those were the days. But when Elf played during those days, everyone sat on the floor. It was a total concert. All down, all watching. Now remember, they were performing cover material. This is a band that was a cover band, and everyone was watching them like it was a rock concert. It was very clear from day one, these guys were stars. And it was clear that Ronnie James Dio was unbelievable, and everyone recognized it back then. So as time went on, I joined a band called Raw Meat, which today wouldn't be a crazy name. But back then, when you had groups like the Elves and Wool and all these other local bands, Raw Meat was a kind of I wasn't always thrilled with having to tell people, hey, I'm in Raw Meat. But it was a really great band, and I was very proud to be in it and grateful that I had that and met the musicians in that band who are still friends to this day. But during that time with Raw Meat, we rehearsed in the same house as Elf. So we were in a finished garage, and they were in the house because the bass player in Raw Meat and the guitarist in Elf shared the house together. Elf was in the house, we were in the garage. We would see each other all the time. And eventually, got to know Gary Driscoll from Elf. And I'd run into all the, Rock, I'd run into everybody. Doug Thaler, Mickey Lee, and so on. So, it was a really interesting thing to see. And then, of course, as time went on, Elf got signed, and off they went. And the rest is history. How has the current state of the planet affected your life? Well, I want to say that it's been really good in some ways, and it's been, of course, as bad as it's been for everyone else. It's a little crazy to go outside. It's a little like the Twilight Zone. And, of course, the Rods had gigs. Canedy had gigs. Kennedy's only played one gig, and we want to play. As you can see from the video, we love playing together, and we want to bring these songs to everybody and in a live situation. So it's been really unpleasant, to say the least, that we've had gigs cancel one after the other. I mean, they have gone every 2 months. We're losing gigs and so on for both bands, and so it hasn't been fun. But we're getting through it. You guys just saw a virtual concert that we're proud of, and I think that we'll all get past this, and we will get to a better place at some point, and live music will be back out there. And thank God we're able to present this, and we really appreciate Brave Words for doing this. And I'd also like to say, anytime we do play live, we love meeting everybody. So come up, say hi. We really, really like interacting with the fans, and so don't be afraid to come up we won't snub you, and we won't charge you. I say that for now. We may be desperate enough to have to charge for a meet and greet at some point, but right now we're not charging for meet and greets. And no offense to any band who does charge for meet and greets, because it's tough to make money anymore. But at the moment we aren't, and we'd love to meet you. So, and it's also CanedyBand.com, CANEDY band.com. And thanks for listening to me ramble on. I appreciate it, and I wish everybody a safe time out there. Stay safe.